Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 with our realistic series. Alright, I've done around the outside edge and I'm just going to line it up here. We've got some nice long runs that we can do up across the field if I go in this wise direction. So I'm hoping it will all work out very nicely. So if I engage the hired help right there, send them off on their merry, right across. He should... Well, he'll go for a while. He might get a little bit stuck over on that side after a bit, in which case we'll start down on the bottom corner and we'll let it work its way up across here. But I'm hoping everything is going to be all tickety-boo and we won't have any problems with it. So I think actually it's not going to quite meet on that bit. I want to just move up, just tractors, just a tyre's width up there, and then start again, just to get that little bit down in the bottom corner there. That should meet everything then. Right, so we'll let that one carry on there and do that. We will ignore that bit down there. We will go to you. You've got 7.79 litres of stuff left. We will start up the hired help on here. Going to go for a little bit longer. I'm not going to go for a huge amount more this evening. We'll go to sleep and then we'll carry on with this again in the morning. But it's still daylight at the moment. We've still got some light, so we will keep working on it for a little bit. It would be nice to get our silage harvest done in a reasonable amount of time. And I don't see that we're going to have any issues with that, to be honest, because we've got still another entire day before time finishes. And I say time finishes, we've got an entire day before we reach the point where the drop down there we go, before the crop goes to the next growth stage, to the harvest stage. And even if it does go to the harvest stage, we can still do the foraging. But I was told by a few people early on in this series that we should be harvesting corn at this stage with the forager because you get a higher yield from it. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, so if anybody is able to confirm or deny such a thing in the comments section, then please do let me know. I'd be really interested to find out about that, because up until now, I've always done the foraging when it's ripe, so you can either send a combine through it or a forage harvester, but it seems like they may have changed that slightly, because I don't think you could. I mean, maybe you could. In FS22, maybe you could actually go and do it. I can't remember what the thing says in here. If we go and have a look at it. Growth, that says harvested. Right, growth, it just says growing. Growth stage, though, 6 of 6 forage. So it's... My mod is telling me that it is actually definitely ready. Whether or not it is actually ready is... like... whether we would get more yield if we were doing it the other way, I don't know. It'd be something that I would really like to find out. So if anybody has run any testing on this, it would be really awesome of you to let me know in the comments. I would really love to hear about that. I'm just going to keep strolling along here. This John Deere is a beast of a machine. I've seen one of these working in a field, actually, this year. They were on grass. The grass had been mowed and then raked up with a really big rake. So there were some big, thick swaths of grass, massive, great big swaths of grass. And the John Deere they had was a beefy machine. It looked like this one, with the swath collector on the front, and they were racing across the field. They really were going fast, like proper fast. They were absolutely caning it across the field. I was quite impressed, actually. I didn't think that they would be able to go that fast. I mean, I remember doing that job. I did that job quite a few times. I did that job for a while. And so I've done that. I've been there on the tractor driving alongside the forager as they go across the field with the grass swath. And I don't remember it being as fast as the speed that those people were going across the field then. So maybe they were going faster than... I mean, it was like 20 years ago that I was doing it. And I have no doubt that the technology surrounding forage harvesters has improved somewhat. And the one that was going across the field at this phenomenal speed was a brand spanking shiny new beastie that, quite frankly, would have been the envy of anyone in the district. And certainly would have been the envy of the person who was driving the one that I was chasing alongside. Ours was a CLAAS Jaguar, and it was like 20 years ago. But yeah, I definitely remember the... It was fast, though. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely really fast when we were doing it. And I was surprised. When I first got there, I was surprised at the speed that they went across the field. And it threw me a bit, actually. I did take a little while to kind of get used to the speed that we were racing across the field at. And that was... It did take me a bit to get used to how to keep up with the thing. And... the correct way to drive alongside it and everything. It did take me a little bit to get used to that, because I just wasn't used to things like that. Up until then, the only silage I'd done had been with, well, it was a smaller outfit. It was on a farm. And the farmer in question, she would drive, she had a trail forage harvester behind her tractor. And she would hitch in on that one, the silage trailer, and head up across the field. And it was quite a bit slower than what the big self-propelled forage harvester was driving across the field. I can tell you that much. It was a lot slower. She would head off across the field with just one mower's width. We wouldn't roll any into one, filling up the silage trailer, while I took the other silage trailer that she just filled up. I would drive that back down to the farm and tip it out at the clamp, and then drive back up to the field, ready to get the next lot. And there were two of us driving backwards and forwards, because that's how long it would take to drive from the field to the farm, and one of her, obviously. So she would be driving up down the field, and every time she filled up the trailer, we'd drive up and drop the next trailer off and pick up the full one and take it back. So I'd get up to the field after the other person had collected theirs, so I would be driving back with my empty trailer as they were driving down the road with their full trailer, and then I'd get back up to the field around about the time she would have passed the halfway mark on the trailer. The further, if the fields that were a little bit further away, we would get there about the time she was just finishing the trailer. And the closer ones, you know, you still had about half a trailer still to wait. So you just kind of pull in and then wait there for a couple of minutes while she filled up the last of the trailer, and then you'd swap them over. And I didn't mind doing the job. I didn't mind the job at all, but the constant changing of the trailers meant that you were leaping in and out of the tractor all the time, and then unplugging the oily leads. So your hands were always covered in oil, which would get all over the tractor cab, and as many of you know, that is something that I've never particularly liked. It's always something that I've found quite irritating, is getting oil on my hands and then having to have it in the cab with me, getting it on my steering wheel and stuff. It's always been a pet hate. So that was always something that I didn't like about doing silage then. But when I went and worked for this outfit that was doing it with the big self-propelled machine, you didn't get out of the cab. Like, that was the one rule. You do not get out of your cab unless you have to go pee, in which case you go over near the hedge. But you're certainly not unplugging anything. You're not taking leads out or anything like that, so you're not getting covered in oil. And it was wonderful. It really was. You got into a clean cab at the beginning of the day, and when you finished the day, you still had a clean cab. It was wonderful. I loved it. I really did. I absolutely loved it. I mean, yes, I wasn't quite so fond of the hours that we had to work, and that was the main reason that I ended up moving away from farming in general anyway. There were two reasons. One was the long hours that I just didn't want to do anymore. And the other was more to do with wages and the type of work that I was able to do. Basically, I was working for someone, and we had been doing a bit of stone walling on the top of the most exposed part of their farm. It was extremely exposed spot of their farm, and it had been a reasonably nice day. It was still winter, but it had been a reasonably sunny day. It was cool, it was sunny, there wasn't much of a wind, and so we'd been building this wall. I turned up to work the next day, and the farmer came to the door with a cup of tea in their hand, and the rain was absolutely lashing down. It was hoofing it down. It was awful weather, and the wind was howling through, so the rain on any exposed areas was whipping sideways. It was icy cold, bordering on sleet, so there was some painful stingy bits in there as well. Real good British moorland weather, the kind, and sleet is the worst. It is absolutely the worst. If it's snow, it's fine. Like, snow's dry. You keep it from, if you stop it from getting inside your clothing, you stay dry. And if it's just rain, it's usually a bit warmer. But when you've got icy rain, it seems to get the cold to penetrate you a lot more. And they looked at me as I turned up. I was wearing a raincoat. They said, "Oh, it's a good job you got a coat. You go on up top and carry on and finish that wall today. You should be able to get it finished today. If not, you can finish it tomorrow. I've got some paperwork that I need to do, so I'm going to have to stay in today." No, they didn't. They just didn't want to go up there I mean, I don't blame them. It was a horrible day, but they didn't have to send me up there. That was the bit. That was the moment that I knew that I didn't want to be doing this anymore. Right? I was in my early 20s and quite fit and capable and able to do it, but it was then that I realized that working for another farmer, I would never be able to acquire the money to do anything other than work for another farmer. And as far as farming is concerned, it was always something I wanted to one day build up to having my own farm. Circumstances in my life have dictated since then that such a thing is almost definitely never going to happen, but it wasn't because of that. It wasn't that decision. There's other things that have happened instead. So I couldn't really believe what I was hearing, but I was like, well, yeah, I suppose I should believe this because this person had done this type of thing before. So it shouldn't really have come as that much of a surprise to me. It's just what they were like. Go finish that wall, and I have paperwork to do. So I head up there, and I have to spend the day in the worst weather imaginable. It's awful in that kind of weather. It really, really is terrible, that kind of weather. I hate it. I really do. And I had to carry on building the wall. So I carried on, and I did finish building the wall that day. But I was chilled to the bone. And as I was doing it, I just realized that I was never, ever going to have a better situation than that. I was going to be spending my life doing that kind of thing when it was really bad, when the chips were down, when there was really bad stuff going on. I was the one that would be in the bad situation. I wouldn't be in a good situation. I wouldn't be in a comfortable situation. I was always going to be reliant on someone else's charity when it came to something like that. And it just made me think, for the money that I get, for the money that I could expect to earn over my lifetime doing that kind of work, is that what I want to do? Do I want to spend my entire life doing that to end up with not very much at the end of it? Because there's a huge amount of things with farming that I do love and I did love, but there was also aspects of it that I didn't, and that was one of them. And also the fact that, you know, I wanted some of the nice things in life as well, like, you know, a house of my own and a car and so on. And such things are a little bit more difficult to get when you have very, very little money coming in. Am I stuck? I'm stuck, aren't I? actually stuck. Right. There is a way to unstick. You do need to hitch and unhitch a couple of times in order to get your unstick to work. And we've got a great big lump right there, which is causing our problem. So we kind of need to roll that lump out. So there are some good parts, like there's a lot of good parts of farming. I didn't want to work for the type of contractor that I was working for when I was able to, you know, drive the really nice machinery and stuff like that. I didn't want to keep doing that because of the hours involved. I had a young family just on its way then, and like my wife was pregnant with our first child, and getting a job that was demanding that I do 70 to 80 hours a week was not something that I wanted to do. So if I could avoid it, if I had the opportunity to not have to do that, I was going to take that opportunity and grab it with both hands. And so that's what I found. I found different types of work. And that's how I wound up working in a factory, ultimately. I didn't intend to stay working in the factory as long as I did. I was there for 11 years. I did not intend to be in that factory for 11 years. The reason that I stayed so long was, as many of you know, Leia has got some really serious health problems. And it was her health deteriorating that basically meant that I needed to stay working in the factory, because the factory offered the wages. Let's just shut that one off now. The factory basically offered the wages and the... Let's shut that one off. Yeah, I thought that one might change over a bit, like once we'd gotten partway across the field, so we'll finish that one. Will also be finished up in the morning. And we'll jump over here. That tractor is the one that's broken down. And we're just going to go and sleep the night. But yeah, the factory offered more flexible shifts and wages to match, and it meant that I could look after Sen around doing my job at the same time, which was that's what we needed then. And then I was able to move on from that one. Before we can go and do very much else, we need to get some money. We have minus 3,000 euros right now, and we are unable to pay any wages, which is a little bit of a nuisance. Now, we do have a loan at the moment of 50,000, so we could borrow some more money. I'm quite happy to go and borrow a bit of money if that's what we need to do, but I'd rather avoid that if possible. Let's just see. Eggs at the moment, November is the best price for eggs. 1,400, and they're currently just under 1,200. So really, I don't want to be selling eggs just yet. If we have a look in here, I've got 1 pallet of melon. I got 9 pallets of watermelon. So let's have a scroll down. I can't remember what those are. Melon in here. January is the best price. January is the best price. So, yeah, we're going to be losing. I'd rather wait on those. So I could either sell a few things right now, and I've also got a load of red lettuce pallets as well. Red lettuce, I'm guessing, is also going to be January. So we will wait until January before we sell any of the goods. They are currently in storage. And yes, I know that melons and lettuces don't normally store, and you certainly can't freeze them. But we have magic ones. That's all I'm saying. Is we've got magic lettuce and so on, and that's how it's going to work. That's how it is. What else have we got? I know that we've got a few crops in here. We got some seed and that maybe we could sell that. Oh, the diesel there. I wouldn't actually mind being able to manufacture our own diesel at some point and sell it off. Whether or not we can do that, I don't know. So, corn. I have a little bit of corn, but I kind of wanted to use that for making stuff. Sunflowers, again, is another one that we're going to want to use for making stuff. Sunflowers, best time is February. December, it really price crashes. Although now, sunflowers is actually pretty good right now. 857. I'm thinking the 10,000 litres of sunflowers over to the grain elevator is probably our best choice. because it's not far off of the maximum price that we get of 868. There's a bit of sorghum. We're feeding that to the chickens. And the other stuff I don't want to be selling off. So the sunflowers, although I do want to use sunflowers later, the sunflowers and the corn is just for the pig food. I don't have anything else that is demanding sunflowers that I can think of at the moment. So we're mostly looking at that for pig food production. And I'm not getting the pigs just yet. So I'm planning to plant sunflowers this year, which means that this is probably the right choice to make. So I'm going to go and get this one, and I'm going to load up the sunflowers into this trailer so that I don't have to go and bring a tractor back. We've got another tractor over there, obviously, but that one is currently indisposed. It's being repaired. We've sent off for a part now, and once the part gets here before the end of the month, we will then be able to fix it to the tractor and problem solved. Until that point, though, we are stuck without being able to have our third tractor, which is a bit of a jolly nuisance. So let's go into there. Wheat, barley, oat, canola, sorghum, grapes, olives, sunflowers. There we go. Let's stick them in there, and it is the grain station that I want to go. 882. That's actually a pretty good price. That's higher than what it says there. Grain station. Where is the grain station? That's the one that we want to find. So we've got the methane state. Grain station is that one up there. It's above the town. I can just go out of our place right here. So I go around this way. We go across the river over here. And I suppose I do get told off sometimes for not putting my cover over the trailer when I've got grain. But when I've only got a part load like that, do I still need to have the cover on? I guess the wind is still going to whip down inside the trailer and get the bits of chaff and sort of blow it out in a big cloud. So yeah, I suppose really we should have the cover on. Let's keep that one on. So grain station's where I want. I think I'm going to have to wait for 30 minutes before it opens. And it's not there. It's this one down here. This is the grain station that we're heading for. And we get 882,000 litres. 882,000 litres. We get 882 per 1,000 litres. I think I was... What was the building I was looking? I think I was looking at making a bakery over there. No, I was actually looking at making my own grain mill so that I could make flour. That's what I was looking at doing, and putting that one down there. But see, that's going to be a little bit later on. Now, we can't do anything for a minute, so I'm just going to fast forward time till 9 o'clock so that the gate's open. There we go. And then we'll go back down to 5. Great demand at South Distribution Centre. We're not going in there. We're going this way. So we're going to whiz on up here. Over that one. Take off the cover and start unloading. Now, this should pay our wages for the day. 6,212 euros we now have. I didn't need to go and borrow any extra money. Those sunflowers are surplus this year. We might want some next year, but this year it's definitely not something that we need to worry about. So I can run you back round here. Take this one back up to the top. And once I put, we'll jump up to our seed drill up there and just put that one going again, because we've got, like, there's just a little bit of the field. The hired help, just bless them, they just couldn't cope with it. So we need to just change that a little tiny bit. And see that field right there? This is something that, like, if you've got, like, this is one thing that I do actually consider to be a bit of poor map design. I mean, I guess maybe this is just a mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake or not. But in real life, you wouldn't... there's no way that would be happening. I mean, look how close that is, right? You'd want that... you'd have a circle around that one. Same with this one over here. And having the field like that right up against the pillar is something that does bug me a little bit. I've seen it before, though, where they've got the pillars like that in the fields, and so you've got the power lines going across the field, but they've actually they just make the pillars without a collision on them. And something that I did consider doing, I probably won't do it for this one because we are trying to play as a realistic gameplay, but for an unrealistic gameplay, is simply go... Ooh, no, I don't want to go in there. Go into the map, but use the map editor and the editor program, the Giants editor. Go into the map and remove the collision from the object. You've got two options with it. You can delete the object as a whole. You can actually delete the visual and leave the collision in there. If you really want to mess with people, you can basically just put a load of invisible collisions in the map. But you can remove the object and keep the collision, or you can delete both together, which is the normal procedure, or you can actually remove the collision from the object. It's entirely possible to do that. And that's something that I would consider doing. It would certainly make our lives a lot easier on this map if I was to go through and just remove a few of the collisions. Like in the field over here that we've got sugar beet in at the moment, we're going to be putting grass in this field. So it would certainly make our lives easier, like for the harvest and everything else. So I went round these poles right here. See, I went round them in a quite realistic fashion. That's how you would actually do it. And same with that one down there. But if I was to remove the collision of this pole, I could just go right through it as though the pole didn't exist. It would make life so much easier. So I'm just going to say, would you like me to do that? Or should I leave it as a realistic approach? I know that this is supposed to be realistic in this one. Like that is the whole purpose of this series, is realism. And right. I am going to go up over this way. See, he's just not going to be able to cope with it there. There's a piece there. See that? There's a couple of little tiny bits that got left behind. We'll grab those. Right there. There may be some down the other end. We'll deal with them when we get down there. We don't need to worry about it at the moment. And I will go up this way. And if we start at this corner right here, it should be something like that, I think. Let's see if he's working in what appears to be a straight line. Yes, that does actually appear to be a straight line. There's an easy way to find out, is if I go in here, and then I go back to the growth, we should be able to see if that looks parallel to that. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.